Hey guys, I better stop yelling because I'm wearing my Today we'll talk about some guns that you probably can consider if you're geriatric, an older person, above the age of 55, if you're on AARP, if you watch too much JAG, and what's that other show? NCIS, and anything else by, not Bruce McGill, Don McGill?
Belisario.
Yeah, Belisario. If you watch any of those shows, these are some consideration of guns you can carry that are low recoil, easy to handle, and especially if you've actually got injuries like CT or if you've got rheumatoid arthritis. Is it rheumatoid for juniors? But if you've got any sort of ailment that precludes you from being able to shoot because you've got pain like in your wrists and your fingers, you don't have a lot of strength, the first thing you can do actually, because I get this all the time, is I would say lift weights, but you should be able to pick up heavy stuff with your hands, like you. I don't care if you're 20 or if you're 200, you should be able to do a pull-up. If you can do a pull-up, you can shoot just about any kind of handgun that you can use to save your life. But if not, I guess we'll just do some of these. First one we'll talk about is probably an extreme end, because I know some people just have to have a revolver because they're 100% reliable, which is a lot of bullshit. That'll be in a revolver shoes. But this here is a Ruger LCR in 22 LR. You can also get it in 22 Magnum, which I would probably recommend, if only because it's more power, and you can actually get real hollow points. Spear actually makes a gold dot hollow point. I believe it's a 40 grain, and that thing expands pretty damn well. So a 22 Magnum would be a good 22. Unless you just have like a 22 LR. I got a 22 LR just like a practice gun. But you guys get the idea. Why 22, take bullets out of here. Why this revolver? Well, if you had to get a revolver, LCR, there's only two brands of revolvers out there worth the shit that's still on the market producing. The first one is Smith & Wesson, the second one is Ruger. I don't buy much of anything else that's Ruger, like at all. I think most Rugers are in the middle or kind of shitty, but their 22s are pretty good for the most part. Most of their 22s are pretty good for the most part, and I'm trying to think of another Ruger that's pretty good, and the revolvers, and that's about it. So anyways, digressing, the LCR is readily available. It's less expensive than any of the Smith & Wessons, and you can find it in different calibers that are pretty popular. For our purpose of older folks' guns, if you have to stick with a revolver and you can't handle massive recoil, especially from like an Airwing 38 or something like that, but you need to carry a lightweight gun, 22 Magnum and LCR is a good choice. In addition to an LCR, the trigger on it is actually pretty easy to pull. It's pretty smooth for a revolver. You're talking about maybe a 10-pound, 8-pound pull, somewhere in that ballpark. It's probably about 10. But it's very smooth compared to any of the new Smiths out there. Smith & Wesson doesn't make revolver triggers like they used to. I guess they fired all those people back in the 90s and early 2000s, because most of the revolver triggers today are kind of shitty, and they're overpriced and expensive, unless you get a performance center, which is just overpriced. They're actually pretty nice. But the LCR stock is a pretty damn good revolver as is. Super lightweight, under $500-600, and you can find it in a variety of different calibers. Alright, so that's option one. Option two is probably way more practical, especially if you do not have the finger strength or the ability to grasp things tightly or to rack things, is old examples like this Beretta Tomcat. This one's also in 22. They make other ones in 25 and 32 ACP. If you had to go with the centerfire, just get the 32 ACP. This one right here is pretty interesting because you can pop this release lever right here. This old doober, you push it up with your finger, and it port loads it. There you go, Tim. Port loading a gun. So port loading is pretty easy. Just pop that little lever right there, and it opens up. You drop in a bullet, and you close it, and it'll clamp right shut. And then you can put a standard magazine, and it will feed like a normal auto pistol. You can carry it cocked and locked like that. Probably don't usually recommend that. I would actually recommend that you lower the hammer. The problem is, if you don't have enough dexterity to do all that shit, you'd probably be better off loading it a different way. And that way would be lower the hammer first, smart people. And you have to lower it like that. Pop open the release, shove in the bullet, right? And then put in your magazine. and of course you can put your safety on. All right. So hammer down, double action, in double action, put the safety off, and then you can shoot it. All right, cool. So those are a couple of options right there. There's some other options that you consider, but the Beretta Tomcat's probably the best option if you really have severe hand issues, wrist issues, if you can't take a whole lot of recoil. Unfortunately, the Beretta Tomcat series has been, I don't know if they're still in production or not, to tell you the truth, but I know they're stupid ass expensive. Centerfire ones are running about $600, $500. That 22 cost me about $250, but I bought it used. It was all beat up, and I use it mostly to give people a different option, especially if you're an older lady or dude. So anyways, those are some considerations. Because the deal is like, it's kind of weird how life is, but the older you get, the more prone you are to being a victim of violence, more than likely as a victim of a robbery or kidnapping or home invasion or something like that. But at the same time, we are probably, as we age, getting physically weaker and at the same time physically incapable of defending ourselves, running away, etc., than when if we were 20 or 30. And then that also translates to not being able to operate guns as efficiently. Anyway, so that's part one. Next, we'll test fire these guns and see what they can do. All right, so now we're going to shoot this bad boy. Double action only. Some warnings right here for you guys who shoot a traditional grip. Be careful. Don't shove your thumbs all the way out here. You can kind of see why. There's just not enough purchase, and your thumb will extend past that barrel. You can easily singe your thumbs or even lacerate it or get it, I won't say chopped off, but man, if you're shooting a Magnum, it'll split you. So, had another thing about grip. Had a student one time shoved his finger. They hold guns weird when people first starting to shoot, and they tend to do this with their front finger. You know who I'm talking about because you're probably doing it. So stop doing that shit. Well, on a short gun like one of these or a snub nose, well, bullets have right of way. So make sure you curl your thumbs down and tuck your fingers out of the way like that. All right, so be smart. Yeah, going hot. Fuckers. Of course, I get a malfunction. Ham and eggs. Value to feed. They're like, are you sure you're recommending this gun? Hey, that's what I said. Lift weights. Fucking don't be gay. Alright, bolt doesn't lock back on this one. The slide won't lock back. Pretty sure it's pretty common because it's never locked back on this magazine, but it's also old. Some other considerations you need to note. If you look at those sights, they are very fine blade sights. Like, that is not exactly an awesome sight. It's just a kind of a revolver sight that's more refined. It's got a little divot notch right there in the front blade. But they're pretty stupid sights, so you can be able to make that work. Alright, next on the list is the Ruger LCR. This one holds 8 rounds, so it's the exact same number of rounds as the Beretta. It's gonna be way more reliable provided you keep it clean. The only big problem you're gonna have is the trigger is significantly heavier than the Tomcat. In my opinion, it is. It's got to be at least 4 pounds heavier. So you're gonna have to really crank down on it. All right, so 8 rounds loaded up. Here we go. Alright, so it's 8 rounds. I'm going to turn this bad boy around. That's how far away the targets are. They're about 12 to 15 paces away. So you can easily do it if you practice. So it should be no big deal. Oh shit. Who's that crazy guy back there? Yum and eggs. Alright, so Ruger LCR. To unload, just turn it upside down, punch the ejector rod, like so. Let gravity do its thing. If there are any stuck ones, pull them out, and then just reload it. Shit, I wish I brought my damn speed strip now for 22. They actually do make speed strips for 22. I think Tough Guard or something like that makes them. They're like $5. That's what I would carry if you carried a 22 Magnum or 22 LR revolver. All right, one more time. He said, "Come on, man." All right, so it's option 2, Ruger LCR.